I opened Netflix and saw a profile I'd never created, Our Secret. My hands shook as I clicked it. The watch history showed romantic movies watched at 2 a.m. when my husband said he was working late. But that wasn't the worst part. The profile picture was my sister's face. My name is Rachel Morgan, and I'm a pediatric nurse. I've spent 10 years building a life with my husband, Marcus. I thought my sister Emma was my best friend. The profile that changed everything. I sat on my couch after a 12-hour shift at the hospital. My scrubs still smelled like antiseptic, and my feet ached. All I wanted was to watch something mindless before bed. I grabbed the remote and opened Netflix on our TV. That's when I saw it. Between Marcus's profile and mine was a third profile. The name made my stomach drop. Our Secret. The profile picture loaded slowly. When it did, I felt like I couldn't breathe. It was Emma, my sister, Emma. The photo was from last summer's beach trip, the one where the three of us had gone together. My hands started shaking. I clicked on the profile, even though part of me didn't want to know. The watch history appeared on the screen. Romantic comedies, love stories, movies I'd never heard of. I checked the timestamps, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, all on nights when Marcus told me he was working late at the office. I scrolled further back. Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, weekend afternoons when I picked up extra shifts at the hospital. Every single time matched up with moments when Marcus said he was too busy to spend time with me. My phone was in my hand before I realized it. I opened our text messages. I found the dates from the Netflix history and matched them to his texts. Working late again, babe. Don't wait up. Boss needs this presentation by morning. Overtime this weekend, sorry. Every lie was right there in black and white. I felt sick. My husband and my sister, how long had this been going on? How many times had they laughed at me while I worked night shifts at the hospital, saving children's lives, while they watched romantic movies together? I took screenshots of everything. My nurse training kicked in. Document everything. Stay calm. Think clearly. But inside, I was falling apart. Emma wasn't just my sister. She was my best friend, the person I told everything to, the person I trusted more than anyone except Marcus. I heard keys in the front door. Marcus was home. I quickly exited Netflix and opened a random show. My heart pounded as he walked into the living room. "Hey, babe," he said, kissing the top of my head. "Long day?" I looked up at him. His smile was so normal, so casual, like he hadn't been betraying me for who knows how long. "Yeah," I managed to say. "Really long." He sat down next to me, and I had to force myself not to move away. Everything felt different now. His hand on my shoulder felt like a lie. His presence next to me felt like poison. "I'm exhausted," he said. "Think I'll head to bed soon." I nodded, not trusting my voice. He went upstairs and I sat there in the dark, staring at the TV screen. The profile was still there. Our secret. Their secret, not mine. I needed to know more. I needed to know everything. But most of all, I needed to figure out how to make them both pay for what they'd done to me and the sister I thought I knew. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that profile picture, Emma's smiling face. I got up at dawn and went to our home office while Marcus still slept. I pulled out every family photo album we had. There they were, years of photos. But now I saw them differently. Emma always stood next to Marcus in group photos. At my wedding, she was right beside him in half the pictures. At Christmas, she sat next to him on the couch. At birthday parties, she found excuses to be near him. How had I missed this? How had I been so blind? I remembered all the times Emma volunteered to keep Marcus company when I worked weekends. "You work too hard, Rachel," she'd say. "Someone should keep him from getting lonely." I'd been grateful. I thought she was being a good sister. My chest hurt as I flipped through the photos. Every memory felt poisoned now. Every smile felt fake. Every family gathering had been a lie. I went to our bedroom closet. Marcus was in the shower. I moved my winter coats aside and searched the back corner. My hand touched something soft. I pulled it out. Emma's gray cardigan, the one she said she'd lost months ago. It had been here the whole time, hidden behind my clothes. I held it in my hands, and rage flooded through me. She'd been in my bedroom, in my closet, probably in my bed. The thought made me want to throw up. I put the cardigan back exactly where I found it. Evidence. I needed to collect evidence before I did anything. After Marcus left for work, I grabbed my laptop. I logged into Emma's social media accounts. We shared passwords, or at least we used to. I prayed she hadn't changed them. She hadn't. I scrolled through her Instagram. She'd posted plenty of photos in the past 6 months, but I noticed something strange. She'd deleted every photo that had me in it. Every single one. Photos of us together as kids, gone. Photos from my birthday party last year, gone. Even photos from family dinners where I was visible in the background, deleted. She was erasing me from her life while sleeping with my husband. My phone rang. Emma's name flashed on the screen. For a moment, I considered letting it go to voicemail. But I needed to hear her voice. I needed to know if I could detect the guilt. "Hey, Rach," she said when I answered. Her voice sounded off, higher pitched than usual, nervous. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice steady. "What's up?" "Just checking in. I haven't heard from you in a few days. Wanted to make sure you're okay." There it was, the guilt. She was calling to ease her conscience, to make sure I didn't suspect anything. "I'm fine," I lied. "Just busy with work. You know how it is." "Yeah, totally." She paused. "Why are you calling so late, by the way? It's almost 11. I looked at the clock. I hadn't realized how much time had passed. "Just couldn't sleep. Thought I'd reach out." "Oh." Another pause. "Well, I should probably go. Early morning tomorrow." "Sure, talk soon." I hung up and stared at my phone. Her voice had been full of guilt. She knew. She knew I might find out eventually, and she was scared. Good. She should be scared. They both should be. Collecting the evidence. I waited until Marcus left for work the next morning. Then I grabbed the tablet we shared for recipes and household stuff. My hands were steady as I searched for tracking apps. I found one with good reviews and installed it discreetly. It would track location, messages, and browsing history. Within 3 hours, I had my first hit. Marcus's location pinged at an address I didn't recognize. I looked it up, Emma's apartment building. He was there right now, in the middle of a workday, at my sister's apartment. My hands clenched into fists. I forced myself to breathe. Stay calm. Document everything. I opened a new folder on my laptop and labeled it Evidence. I took a screenshot of his location. I added it to the folder along with the Netflix screenshots from before. Over the next week, I watched the tracking app like a hawk. A pattern emerged. Tuesday afternoons at 3 o'clock, Thursday evenings at 7. He went to Emma's apartment exactly 17 times in 3 months. I documented every single visit. Then I checked his wallet while he showered one evening. I found receipts folded up behind his credit cards. Hotel receipts. The Riverside Inn, 20 minutes from our house. 3 different dates. All of them on nights when I worked overnight shifts at the hospital. I photographed the receipts with my phone. My hands shook with rage, but I kept my expression blank when Marcus came out of the bathroom. "Want to watch something?" he asked, smiling at me like nothing was wrong. "Sure," I said. I smiled back. Inside, I was screaming. I needed professional help. The tracking app gave me information, but I needed proof. Real, undeniable proof that would hold up if I needed it later. I called a private investigator the next morning from my car before my shift started. His name was David Chen, and he specialized in infidelity cases. I met him at a coffee shop during my lunch break. I showed him everything I had. The Netflix profile, the tracking data, the hotel receipts. "This is solid evidence already," he said, "but I can get you more. Photos, videos, detailed timestamps, whatever you need for divorce proceedings." "I need everything," I told him. "I need proof that will destroy them both." He nodded. "I understand. Give me 2 weeks." It took him 10 days. He called me at work and asked me to meet him. I told my supervisor I needed a break and met him in the parking lot. He handed me a thick envelope. "Tuesday and Thursday evenings," he said. Like clockwork. I've got photos of them entering her apartment together. Photos of them at restaurants, video footage of them kissing in his car. I looked through the photos. There they were, Marcus and Emma holding hands, laughing together, kissing outside her building. The video showed them in his car, parked in a dark lot near the park. They were all over each other. I felt numb looking at it. Part of me had hoped I was wrong. Part of me had wanted there to be some other explanation. But there wasn't. This was real. "Thank you," I said quietly. "I'm sorry," David said. "I know this isn't easy." I drove back to work and finished my shift in a daze. That night, I added everything to my evidence folder. Then I locked it with a password and backed it up to 3 different cloud services. I told no one. Not my best friend from work. Not my parents, not anyone. This was my secret now, And when I was ready, I would use it to burn their lives to the ground. The family dinner trap 2 weeks later, I had my plan ready. I called my mother on a Tuesday afternoon and told her I wanted to have a family dinner at their house that Saturday. Nothing special, just a chance to get together. That sounds wonderful, honey, Mom said. Should I invite Emma? Yes, I said. My voice didn't shake. Invite Emma. Then I called Marcus at work. My parents want to have us over for dinner Saturday night. Can you make it? Course, babe, Des, he said. Sounds great. I didn't tell Emma that Marcus would be there. I didn't tell Marcus that Emma would be there. I wanted to see their faces when they realized they'd walked into a trap. Saturday arrived. I wore my favorite blue dress and did my makeup carefully. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. I'd lost weight from stress. My eyes had dark circles. But I looked determined, strong. Marcus and I arrived at my parents' house first. Mom hugged me at the door. Emma's running a bit late, she said. But she'll be here soon. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I watched Marcus's face as Mom opened the door. Emma stood there with a bottle of wine. Her smile froze when she saw Marcus sitting on the couch. Oh, she said. Her voice was barely a whisper. I didn't know. Come in, sweetheart, Mom said, oblivious to the tension. Everyone's here now. Emma walked in slowly. She wouldn't look at Marcus. He wouldn't look at her. They both looked at me. I smiled sweetly. Hi, Em, I said. So glad you could make it. Dinner was torture for them. I watched them squirm in their seats. They sat across from each other at the table, trying desperately not to make eye contact. Every time Mom or Dad asked them a question, they stumbled over their answers. Emma, honey, you seem distracted tonight, Dad said. Everything okay? Fine, Emma squeaked. Just tired. Marcus kept drinking wine. By dessert, he'd had 4 glasses. His face was flushed and his hands shook slightly when he reached for his fork. That's when I made my move. So, Emma, I said casually, Mom told me you've been seeing someone new. When do we get to meet him? Emma's fork clattered onto her plate. Marcus started choking on his wine. Dad had to pat him on the back while Mom rushed to get water. I'm not, Emma stammered. Where did you hear that? Oh, just around, I said, still smiling. You know how people talk. Mom brought out her famous apple pie. While she was cutting slices, I pulled out my phone. Hey, speaking of funny things, I said, I found the weirdest glitch on our Netflix account. Look at this. I held up my phone, showing the Our Secret profile. The room went silent. Mom leaned in to look. Our Secret, she said. Whose profile is that? I watched the color drain from both Emma's and Marcus's faces. Emma's hands gripped the edge of the table. Marcus looked like he might pass out. I have no idea, I said innocently. But look at the profile picture. Doesn't that look like someone we know? Mom squinted at the screen. That's Emma? Why would someone use Emma's photo for a Netflix profile on your account? The silence was deafening. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Marcus stared at his plate like he wanted to disappear into it. I put my phone away and picked up my fork. Strange, right? I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation. There wasn't. And everyone in that room knew it. Confronting the betrayers, dinner ended quickly after that. Mom and Dad seemed confused by the tension, but they didn't push. They started clearing dishes and went into the kitchen. I heard them talking in low voices, trying to figure out what had just happened. I stood up and walked to the dining room doors. Quietly, I locked them both. Marcus noticed first. Rachel, what are you doing? Sit down, I said. My voice was calm, cold. Both of you. Emma was already crying. Mascara ran down her cheeks. Rachel, please. Sit down. They sat. I walked to the other side of the room where my purse was. I pulled out my tablet and connected it to my parents' TV screen. My hands were steady. I'd practiced this moment in my head 100 times. I'm going to show you something, I said, and you're both going to watch it. Quietly, I pressed play. David's video footage filled the screen. Marcus and Emma getting out of his car together, holding hands, kissing in the parking lot, entering her apartment building. The timestamps showed the dates and times clearly. Emma sobbed openly. Marcus's face turned white, then red, then white again. Rachel, he started. I'm not finished, I said. I played the next video. Them at a restaurant, feeding each other dessert, laughing. looking at each other the way Marcus used to look at me, the way I thought he still looked at me. I played clip after clip. 3 months of evidence. 17 visits to her apartment, hotel receipts, restaurant bills, everything. When the videos ended, I turned off the TV and faced them. "How long?" I asked. My voice didn't shake. "How long have you been sleeping together?" Marcus tried to speak, but nothing came out. Emma wiped her eyes and whispered, 2 years. 2 years. I felt like she'd punched me in the stomach. 2 years of lies. 2 years of them laughing behind my back. 2 years of me being too stupid to see what was right in front of me. "Why?" I asked. I hated that my voice cracked on that word. "I didn't mean," Emma started. "Why?" I repeated, louder this time. "It just happened," she said. "We didn't plan it. We connected and—" "You connected with my husband," I said. "My husband. Your sister's husband." Marcus finally found his voice. "Rachel, please let me explain." "Explain what? Explain how you've been lying to me for 2 years? Explain how you created a secret Netflix profile like this was some kind of romantic game? Explain how you've been fucking my sister while I worked night shifts, saving children's lives?" He flinched at my language. Good. He should flinch. "I never wanted to hurt you," Emma sobbed. "I love you, Rachel. You're my sister. Don't you dare say you love me," I said. My voice was like ice. "You don't destroy people you love. You don't betray people you love. You don't steal from people you love." "I'm sorry," she cried. "I'm so sorry." "No, you're not," I said. "You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference." I walked to the dining room door and unlocked it. "Get out, both of you. Get out of my parents' house before I call the police for trespassing." "Rachel." Marcus reached for me. "Don't touch me," I said. "Don't ever touch me again." They left. Emma was still crying. Marcus looked broken. I didn't care. I stood in that dining room and felt nothing but cold, burning rage. My parents came in from the kitchen. They'd heard everything. Mom's face was pale. Dad looked furious. "Rachel, honey," Mom started. "I'm okay," I said. But I wasn't. I wouldn't be okay for a long time, but I would survive this. And I would make sure they both paid for what they'd done, the divorce papers and the plan. Monday morning, I took a personal day from work. I drove to a law firm that specialized in divorce cases. The lawyer's name was Margaret Chen. She had 20 years of experience and a reputation for being ruthless. I sat in her office and laid out all my evidence. The Netflix profile, the tracking data, the private investigators' videos and photos, the hotel receipts, everything. Margaret looked through it all carefully. When she finished, she looked up at me and smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of a hunter who'd just spotted prey. "This is excellent documentation," she said. "With this evidence, you can claim adultery as grounds for divorce. In this state, that means you're entitled to a larger portion of marital assets." "What does that mean exactly?" I asked. "It means the house is yours if you want it. His retirement fund can be divided in your favor. Any joint accounts, joint property, you have a strong case for keeping most of it." I felt a small spark of satisfaction. How long will it take? With this evidence? He won't fight it. If he's smart, he'll sign whatever we put in front of him. 6 months, maybe less. I hired her on the spot. We spent 2 hours going through every asset Marcus and I shared, the house we'd bought 5 years ago, his 401k, our savings account, the car I drove. Everything was documented and cataloged. "I'll have the papers drawn up by the end of the week," Margaret said. "We'll serve him at his office." I shook her hand and left. For the first time since I'd seen that Netflix profile, I felt like I had some control, some power, but the divorce wasn't enough. It would hurt him financially, sure, but it wouldn't hurt them the way they'd hurt me. For that, I needed a different kind of plan. I went home and created a fake social media account. Generic name, stock photo profile picture, no identifying information. Then I sent Emma a friend request from this account. She accepted within an hour. She accepted everyone. That's how desperate she was for validation. Through this fake account, I watched her posts. She was playing the victim now, posting vague statuses about people not understanding true love and following your heart even when it's hard. My family had started to cut her off, and she was spiraling. Perfect. I also opened a new bank account at a different bank. Over the next 2 weeks, I transferred money from our joint account bit by bit. Not enough for Marcus to notice immediately, but enough to build up my safety net. $10,000 total. It was my money too. Money I'd earned working double shifts at the hospital while he was busy with my sister. Every night, I refined my plan. The divorce would take care of the legal side, but I wanted more. I wanted everyone to know what they'd done. I wanted their reputations destroyed the way they'd destroyed my life. I wanted revenge. Real, calculated, devastating revenge. And I knew exactly how to get it. Exposing the truth. I spent a weekend preparing everything. I created a document that laid out the timeline of the affair. Every date, every hotel visit, every lie Marcus had told me. I included screenshots of the Netflix profile, selected photos from the private investigator that were damning but not inappropriate for family viewing, timestamps from the tracking app. Then I wrote my statement. I kept it factual and calm. No emotion, just facts. For the past 2 years, my husband Marcus and my sister Emma have been having an affair. Here is the evidence. Simple, direct, impossible to deny. On Tuesday morning, I created a group chat, every family member I could think of. My parents, my aunts and uncles, my cousins, Marcus's parents, Marcus's siblings, our mutual friends from college, our neighbors, everyone who had ever told me how lucky I was to have such a loving husband and such a close relationship with my sister. I took a deep breath. My finger hovered over the send button. Once I did this, there was no going back. Everyone would know. The humiliation would be public and permanent. Good. They deserved it. I hit send. The document and photos flooded into the group chat. Within minutes, my phone started buzzing. Messages poured in. Shocked reactions, crying emojis, angry faces, questions, demands for explanations. I watched it all happen in real time. My cousin Jennifer removed Emma from their group chat. My Aunt Susan unfriended Emma on Facebook. Marcus's brother called him, and I could hear him yelling through the phone from across the house. Then I opened my personal social media. I'd never been one to post much, but this time was different. I posted a carefully worded statement. I've recently discovered that my husband and my sister have been having an affair for the past 2 years. I'm heartbroken, but moving forward, I'm sharing this publicly because I believe in honesty and accountability. Thank you to everyone who has supported me during this difficult time. I didn't share the graphic evidence publicly, just the statement. That was enough. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Hundreds of likes within the first hour, comments flooded in. Friends from high school I hadn't talked to in years. Coworkers from the hospital, neighbors. Everyone offered support, sympathy, and outrage on my behalf. Some comments were directed at Marcus and Emma, who were both tagged in my post. How could you? Your own sister? Disgusting. The judgment was swift and brutal. My phone rang. It was Emma. I declined the call. She called again. I declined again. Then came the text messages. Rachel, please take it down. You're destroying my life. I know I made a mistake, but this is too much. Please, I'm begging you. I blocked her number. Then I blocked Marcus's number too. Let them panic. Let them feel a fraction of the fear and humiliation I'd felt when I discovered their betrayal. By evening, the group chat had exploded with over 200 messages. Family members were taking sides. Most sided with me. A few tried to play peacemaker. Emma's messages in the chat were desperate and rambling. Marcus stayed silent. I turned off my phone and sat in my living room. The house was quiet. Marcus hadn't come home. Good. I didn't want to see his face. I'd done it. I'd exposed them. The whole world knew what they'd done. Their reputations were in ruins. Emma would never be welcomed at family gatherings again. Marcus would be the guy who cheated on his wife with her sister. The scarlet letter was theirs to wear now, not mine, taking back my power. I changed the locks on Thursday. A locksmith came while Marcus was at work, and within 2 hours, every lock in the house was different. Marcus's keys wouldn't work anymore. This was my house now. Then I packed his belongings. I didn't fold anything carefully or pack with care. I shoved his clothes into garbage bags. His shoes went in boxes. His toiletries got tossed into a duffel bag. Everything that was his, everything that reminded me of him, went into the garage. When I was done, I sent him a single text from my new number he didn't have blocked yet. Your things are in the garage, the locks are changed. Don't come inside. He showed up an hour later. I watched from the window as he loaded the bags into his car. He looked up at the house once, like he was thinking about knocking on the door. I stared back at him through the window until he got in his car and drove away. Next, I called our credit card companies. I canceled every joint card we had. I called the bank and froze our joint accounts pending the divorce proceedings. Marcus would have to use his own money now. No more access to my income. Friday morning, I got a call at work from my supervisor. "Rachel, can you come to my office?" My heart sank. Had Marcus done something? Was I in trouble? But when I walked into her office, she was smiling. "I wanted to tell you personally before the official announcement. You're being promoted to head nurse in the pediatric unit." I stared at her. "What?" "You've been working toward this for 3 years," she said. "Your performance reviews are outstanding. Your patients love you. The other nurses respect you. The position is yours if you want it." I wanted to cry. Something good. Finally, something good in the middle of all this chaos. "I want it," I said. "Thank you." "You've earned it, Rachel. Congratulations." I walked out of her office in a daze. A promotion, more money, more responsibility, recognition for the work I'd been doing while my husband and sister betrayed me. That weekend, I called a therapist. Her name was Dr. Lisa Patterson, and she specialized in trauma and betrayal. I sat in her office and told her everything. The Netflix profile, the affair, the confrontation, the exposure, the divorce. "How are you feeling right now?" she asked when I finished. "Angry," I said. "Hurt, betrayed, but also stronger, like I'm taking back control." "That's good," she said. "You're processing this in a healthy way. You're not letting it destroy you." We talked for an hour about trust and betrayal and healing. She gave me tools for managing my anger and processing my grief. When I left her office, I felt lighter. That night, I stood in my living room and looked around. This space was mine now, my house, my life, my future. Marcus wasn't here anymore. His presence had been erased. I'd thought I needed him to be happy. I'd thought I needed Emma's friendship to feel complete. But standing there alone, I realized something important. I was stronger without them than I ever was with them. They'd held me back. They'd made me doubt myself. They'd made me think I needed them. But I didn't. I never had. Emma's desperate attempts. Emma showed up at the hospital on a Monday afternoon. I was finishing up with a patient when one of the other nurses came to find me. "Rachel, there's someone here to see you. Your sister. She seems upset." I walked out to the waiting area. Emma stood there, her eyes red from crying. She'd lost weight, her hair was unwashed, she looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Rachel, please," she said when she saw me. "I need to talk to you." "We have nothing to talk about," I said. "Please, just 5 minutes. I'm begging you." Patients and families were staring. This wasn't the place for a scene. I called security instead. "This woman is not authorized to be in this unit," I told the security guard. "Please escort her out." "Rachel!" "No." Emma reached for me. The guard stepped between us. "Ma'am, you need to leave," he said firmly. "I'm her sister," Emma cried. "Rachel, please, I just want to explain." "You had 2 years to explain," I said. "You chose to lie instead. Now leave." The guard escorted her out. She was still crying, still calling my name. The other nurses watched with sympathy in their eyes. They knew what had happened. The whole hospital knew. But they respected me for how I'd handled it. A few days later, letters started arriving at my house. Handwritten letters from Emma. Pages and pages of apologies and explanations. She never meant to hurt me. It just happened. She couldn't help falling in love. She knew it was wrong, but she couldn't stop. She was sorry. So sorry. Please forgive her. I didn't read past the first few lines of any of them. I threw them all away without finishing them. Then came the emails. When I blocked those, she created new email accounts. The messages were all the same, variations of "I'm sorry" and "please forgive me" and "I need you to talk to our parents." I learned from my cousin that Mom and Dad had cut Emma off. They weren't returning her calls. They told her she wasn't welcome at family gatherings until she made things right. But how do you make something like this right? You can't. Emma was losing everything, and she was panicking. My cousin also told me something else. Marcus had dumped Emma. Right after the exposure, when the shame became public, he ended it, told her she was too much drama, and he couldn't deal with it anymore. Emma had destroyed her relationship with her family, her reputation, and her self-respect for a man who threw her away the moment things got difficult. I should have felt sorry for her, but I didn't. I felt nothing. She sent one final message that I saw before I blocked her completely. I know you hate me. I know I destroyed everything. But you're my sister. Doesn't that mean anything? I typed back one sentence before blocking her on every platform. You stopped being my sister the moment you started sleeping with my husband. And that was the last time I acknowledged her existence. My new beginning, 6 months later, I stood in the courthouse. Margaret sat beside me. Marcus sat on the other side of the room with his lawyer, looking miserable. The judge reviewed our settlement agreement. Mr. Anderson, you understand you're signing over full ownership of the marital home to Ms. Morgan. Yes, Your Honor, Marcus said quietly. And you agree to the division of retirement assets as outlined? Yes, Your Honor. And you acknowledge the grounds of adultery as the cause of this divorce? Marcus hesitated, then, yes, Your Honor. The judge signed the papers. Your marriage is hereby dissolved. It was done. I walked out of that courthouse a divorced woman. But I didn't feel sad. I felt free. I kept the house. I got 60% of his retirement fund. I walked away with my savings account intact and my dignity restored. Marcus moved into a small apartment across town. I heard he was dating again, but I didn't care. He wasn't my problem anymore. I started reconnecting with friends I'd neglected during my marriage, college friends I'd lost touch with, work friends I'd kept at arm's length. They welcomed me back with open arms. We went out for dinners and drinks. We laughed. I remembered what it felt like to be happy. In August, I did something I'd always wanted to do, but Marcus had always refused. I booked a solo vacation to Italy. 2 weeks in Rome, Florence, and Venice. Just me, my camera, and the open road. I stood on the Ponte Vecchio in Florence and watched the sunset over the Arno River. I ate gelato in Rome and threw coins in the Trevi Fountain. I rode a gondola in Venice and felt like I was in a dream. I'd never traveled alone before. I'd been afraid, but now I realized I'd been afraid of the wrong things. I'd been afraid of being alone when I should have been afraid of being with the wrong people. When I came home, I stood in my living room and looked around. The furniture was rearranged. I'd painted the walls a soft gray. I'd bought new curtains and new artwork. The house looked nothing like it did when Marcus lived here. I walked to my desk and opened my laptop. I went to Netflix. The old account was still there, but I'd stopped using it months ago. I clicked on the account settings and hit delete. Are you sure you want to delete this account? The screen asked. Yes, I was sure. I created a new account, just my name, just my profile, no one else. A fresh start. I sat on my couch with a cup of tea and picked something to watch, something I wanted to see, not something Marcus would have chosen, not something to please anyone else. Just me, making my own choices, living my own life. The betrayal had nearly destroyed me. For weeks, I'd felt like I'd lost everything, my husband, my sister, my trust, my sense of safety. But what I'd actually lost were 2 people who never deserved me in the first place. And what I'd gained was something far more valuable. I'd gained myself back. I'd learned that family doesn't mean unconditional loyalty when that loyalty is used to justify betrayal. I'd learned that trust must be earned, not freely given. I'd learned that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you most, and that recognizing that truth doesn't make you cynical. It makes you wise. Most importantly, I'd learned that I didn't need anyone to complete me. I was whole on my own, strong on my own, happy on my own. Marcus and Emma had tried to break me. Instead, they'd freed me. And as I sat there in my house in my new life, I realized something. I'd won. Not because I'd destroyed them, though their reputations were certainly in ruins. I'd won because I'd refused to let their betrayal define me. I took a sip of my tea and smiled. Tomorrow, I'd go back to work as head nurse. I'd care for sick children and support their worried parents. I'd do the job I loved, the job that gave my life meaning. Next month, I'd have dinner with my parents. Just the 3 of us. We'd talk and laugh, and no one would mention Emma's name. She'd made her choice, and now she lived with the consequences. In the fall, I was thinking about adopting a dog, maybe 2 dogs. The house felt too quiet sometimes, and I liked the idea of coming home to wagging tails and unconditional love. I'd also been thinking about dating again. Not seriously. Not yet, but maybe coffee with someone nice, someone honest, someone who understood that trust was precious and fragile. But there was no rush. I was learning to enjoy my own company, learning that being alone wasn't the same as being lonely. My phone buzzed, a text from my friend Sarah from work. Girls' night Friday, we're thinking wine and terrible movies. I smiled and typed back, count me in. This was my life now. Simple, peaceful, mine. I thought about the woman I'd been 6 months ago, the woman who'd opened Netflix and found that profile, the woman who'd felt her world crumbling around her. She'd been devastated, broken, lost, but she'd also been stronger than she knew, strong enough to document the betrayal instead of falling apart, strong enough to confront them, strong enough to walk away, strong enough to rebuild. I was proud of her, proud of me. The moral of my story wasn't complicated. It wasn't about revenge, though revenge had played its part. It wasn't about punishment, though they'd certainly been punished. It was about this. When the people you trust most betray you, you have two choices. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it transform you into someone stronger. Family is supposed to mean loyalty and love. But when family becomes toxic, when family becomes betrayal, you have to be brave enough to walk away. Blood doesn't excuse cruelty. Love doesn't justify lies. And sometimes, the family you need isn't the family you're born into. It's the family you choose. The friends who support you, the coworkers who respect you, the community you build around yourself with people who earn your trust and honor it. I'd lost a husband and a sister, but I'd gained something infinitely more valuable. I'd gained self-respect, self-reliance, self-love. The profile named Our Secret was gone now, deleted, erased, like it never existed. But I existed, stronger than before, wiser than before, free. I finished my tea and turned on my movie. Outside, the sun was setting. Inside, my house was warm and quiet and peaceful. This was my new beginning, my fresh start, my second chance at happiness. And this time I was writing the story myself. No secret profiles, no hidden betrayals, no lies, just me. Rachel Morgan, pediatric head nurse. Survivor, fighter, and most importantly, free woman. I'd thought that Netflix profile would be the end of my story, the moment that destroyed everything I'd built. Instead, it had been the beginning, the moment I'd started fighting back, the moment I'd decided I deserved better, the moment I'd decided to save myself. And I had.